The Love Talk Show on Liberty Radio.
I want to talk a little bit about past relationships, because we can always learn from our mistakes. Do you have experiences before coming to the church, or maybe you were in the church, one foot in the church, another foot in the world, and your life was being destroyed, going to astray to a place where you didn't want to go because you were not listening to the advice, the love life advices that you receive in the church?
So even though I grew up in the church, I didn't take things seriously for a while. But at the same time, I also grew up with no proper role models in terms of love life. So I always told myself, I'm going to learn from their mistakes. I'm not going to make mistakes like them. I can't make myself seem weak in front of men. So that was one thing that I kind of took on with me, but I kind of used it in the wrong way. So me saying that I'm going to learn from their mistakes, I would kind of want the power in the relationship. So that's my idea of a relationship. I must have the power. But I would talk to people, but I would let them get to the point where I knew they liked me, then I'll shut them off. I wouldn't talk to them after that. I'll even block people just to show that, okay, I can do it. I wasn't interested in talking to them, having a relationship with them, but I knew as long as I had the power, I'm fine with that. But obviously that was...
It was kind of something for your ego, right?
Yeah.
You wanted to prove yourself.
Yeah.
That maybe if you were in the world, people would be interested in you.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. So it was something very shallow of you, because it showed insecurity, because you wanted the approval of these men, right? Because you didn't have the approval of God, right? At this time you were not strong in the faith. Yeah. You were in the church, but you were kind of playing around.
Yeah.
You never had the courage to
fully leave, not at all. No.
But you were one foot in the church, one foot there.
Yeah.
And what did you learn coming to the love therapy? Do you come to the love therapy?
Yes.
Yes? What did you learn about this?
So I learned to kind of put everything that I thought was okay to the side, and that you learn from people's mistakes. There's a way to do it. So you don't learn from people's mistakes to kind of use it as an advantage. You kind of use it to better yourself when it comes to relationships. So I saw where people went wrong, and I would be like, okay, I can't do that when it comes to a relationship. I can't be this type of person. I need to be better. I need to not use that example and look at the good examples that are presented to us, that are around us. Because in the church we grow up and we see good relationships, we do. But I excused that with the relationships that I saw in my household. So that's what I kind of looked to. But instead of doing that, I started to look at those that were around me in the church, and I thought, okay, that's how you go about it. That's how you do things. We saw the pastors' wives, and the way they will break down things was like, okay, I can learn things and do things properly and not make these mistakes for myself. So that was one thing that I learned.
I used to always kind of stay away from relationships, but in my mind, that's where everything manifested. It wasn't really physically, it was everything in my mind. Very messed up, very dirty. I used to daydream about certain people that I would see around, even people in the church, pastor, even my leaders. I remember I used to daydream that I would be with them and, certain things. But in terms of a physical relationship, I was always really scared to go into a physical relationship, especially because I didn't really have much of an expectation. But I also remember I used to start to kind of be a little bit interested in what would it be like to be with a girl and all these kind of things because of what I used to watch, because I used to, watch certain things. Mm-hmm. It was just really messed up. Physically speaking, I was always scared to actually act out anything. But then in my mind, that's where everything was really just gone.
I think for myself, something that I struggled with, and I think a lot of people, especially those that are single, struggle with as well, was anxiety. And I think with that, it was because I was in a church for some time, so I've been in a church for quite some time, and a lot of people around me were getting into relationships, were getting married and stuff. Even though myself, I wasn't ready, I would try to talk to people or try to start talking to people even though I knew I wasn't ready, because the anxiety was there to try and get into a relationship even though I knew I wasn't ready at all. And that's something that I learned how to kind of put aside in coming to love therapy, how to deal with anxiety and just trust in God fully and do things the right way.
Right. So you were struggling with anxiety, right? This looking around and seeing people, and you were anxious about your own life. How did you overcome this?
I think it was when you come to the love therapy and you learn that because God is the author of love, so when you trust in God fully and you spend your love life to God, you don't have to worry about anything. God will take care of it, and then God will bless you in His own time. So as long as you do things correctly, such as coming to the LT faithfully, coming singles hour, working on yourself, those sort of steps, eventually God will bless you. And I think it's just keeping your eyes on the promise as well, and just keeping focused on God, and eventually it will come to pass.
Okay, very well. And you, my friend?
So growing up, pastor, like first and foremost, in my era, like there wasn't really much of a father figure. Like these things didn't really exist. So when I grew up, I really just grew up with my mum. So already, like my mind towards women was kind of distorted. So growing up, I just kind of saw women, like, to be honest with you, like as like sexual objects. I didn't really like value them in terms of, I just didn't really value them. So I made a lot of mistakes when it came into the world of like going into relationships and with girls in general. I would just more so, like what Janine was saying, it became a point where I wouldn't really do anything with the girls, but it was like I just would like get them to a point where, okay, I know that you like me, whatever, and then I'll cut them off. Or
you like the attention.
Yeah, I like the attention. So like maybe I'll just get like images of them, these type of things, but then I'll just be like, oh, like it's easy. So then it got to a point then where, like you were saying, like it started in on mine. So I was like, okay, you know what, now let me actually now start to do these things. So then I started to go down like a wrong path where now I was involved in multiple different girls and these type of things. And to the world, it sounds like, oh, like it's amazing, like it's good, but really and truly, it was never really fulfilling. It was never really good. So that's just kind of the route that I went down. And then yeah, it's a bit in a nutshell, to be honest with you.
It's like a little trophy, right?
Basically,
you get to go out with the girl. It's like you got a trophy. Okay, all right. And you throw away next.
And even as you're saying that now, Pastor, like the truth is, when you're in this type of like lifestyle, most of the people around you are also involved in the same lifestyle. So it was like we had this thing where it was like who can sleep with the most people from different ethnicities. So that was just kind of literally what you're saying. So that was the mentality, that was the mindset.
Wow. Okay. All right. And what have you learned here in the love therapy, coming to church? You've been coming for 2 years, right?
Yeah, over 2 years. Over 2 years.
And what have you learned here?
Well, the first thing I learned was if I want a woman of God, I have to be a man of God. That was the first thing that I learned. So I was like, okay, so, you know, rather than just coming here to think you're just going to find someone and these type of things to the LT, it was more so to like work on myself, to develop myself, to of course become born of God, and, you know, to mature, to become a man of God in general. And that really just helped me to just open my eyes, because, you know, when you come to LT, it's not just about coming to find someone, but it's to help yourself. It's also about your relationship with God as well. So I learned a lot of things, and I'm still learning a lot of things coming to LT as well.
Very well, very well. You guys need to understand that to be single is a good time. It's a good time, right?
Definitely.
You have time for yourself, to work in yourself, right? After you get married, you're never gonna have a time alone, we can say, right? This is a unique time in your life. So invest in your relationship with God. Take care of yourself, invest in your life, get ready for the right person, okay? Get ready for the right person. And you know, this is the time for you to get to know God, for you to get mature, prepare yourself. So when the right person appears in your life, you will be ready for that.
The Love Talk Show on Liberty Radio.